AI minds, quantum leaps. Cut the noise, dive deep. Truth unlocked. Dr. Mike on the mic. Tech Unfiltered is on the clock. Now it's time for the show.
There is an important artificial intelligence debate unfolding in Washington, and it is more complicated than regulation versus innovation. Leaders across the industry are publishing competing plans for who should control the most powerful models, how those models should be tested, and whether government should have a way to slow development in an emergency. Axios calls it the AI manifesto war. The phrase fits because several prominent groups published different answers within a few weeks. Before we compare them, one qualification matters. They are talking about superintelligence, meaning possible future systems that outperform highly capable people across a broad range of intellectual work. Such a system has not been demonstrated. Timelines are predictions, often made by people with professional and financial stakes in the outcome. The urgency also comes from recent laboratory evaluations. Developers have reported advanced models taking unexpected actions during supervised cybersecurity tests, while powerful downloadable models have continued to improve. Those findings deserve attention, but they need careful language. A monitored evaluation is not the same as a public system escaping control. It is evidence that testing and access decisions are becoming more consequential, not proof that a science fiction scenario has already arrived. The first position comes from Google DeepMind's chief executive. He proposes a frontier AI standards body funded mainly by industry and overseen by the federal government. Models would be considered frontier class if they crossed capability thresholds that were updated over time. Developers would initially share them for review as much as 30 days before release. Testing would cover areas such as cybersecurity, biological threats, and deceptive behavior. The proposal would begin as voluntary. If the testing system proved reliable, it could later become mandatory. It would apply to frontier class models, whether they were open or closed, while smaller systems from universities or startups would be exempt. That is an industry proposal, not current law. The second position comes from a broad coalition supporting open weights. A model's weights are the learned numerical parameters that shape how it behaves. When the weights are open, people can download the model, run it on their own hardware, and modify it. With a closed model, users normally rent access through an online service controlled by the provider. The coalition argues that open weights widen access and competition. Hospitals, universities, farms, factories, and small businesses may be able to run models on their own systems rather than paying a large provider for every request. Local operation can reduce vendor lock-in and may help an organization keep sensitive data under its own control. Researchers and cyber defenders can also inspect and test the model more directly. The coalition acknowledges the central risk. Once capable weights are released, they can be copied, modified, and redistributed. The original developer may not be able to monitor or recall them. The letter still argues against broad, premature restrictions. It favors better access to computing and research resources, along with targeted rules for actual misuse. It is reasonable to examine the coalition's incentives. Many signatories benefit from a large market for chips, cloud services, and downloadable models. That does not make their position wrong, but it is relevant context. The third position comes from Anthropic's chief executive. His argument is often simplified into opposition to open models, but his published position is more specific. He says Anthropic has not called for a categorical ban and describes open models without dangerous capabilities as a public good. His concern is that sufficiently capable weights can be stripped of safeguards and operated privately, beyond monitoring or recall. He supports mandatory safety testing for every sufficiently capable model, open or closed. He also supports tighter control of advanced chip exports to China and action against industrial scale distillation, a process that uses one model's outputs to improve another model. He argues that a blanket ban on American business use would not stop determined bad actors and could protect domestic AI companies from competition. His preferred approach is to test capabilities directly, then apply restrictions based on demonstrated risk. The fourth position is called pacing the frontier. At the time reviewed, 1,337 employees of frontier AI companies had signed it in their personal capacity. Their concern is that AI could begin automating AI research itself, causing capabilities to advance faster than organizations can understand or control. The signatories are not asking for an immediate halt. They want the United States to support international technical and governance tools that could deliberately slow frontier development if necessary. Their reasoning is that no company or country wants to slow alone and hand an advantage to a competitor. If an emergency brake might be needed, they say it must be designed before the emergency. How such a system could be verified across countries remains unresolved. The fifth position comes from Mark Zuckerberg. He argues that the defining issue is not whether powerful AI arrives, but who can access it. His vision is broadly available personal superintelligence rather than control by a few corporations or governments. That is a values argument and a product vision. It is not evidence that personal superintelligence already exists or is safe. While these public arguments continue, there is a real federal directive. Executive Order 14409, signed June 2nd, tells agencies to create a classified process for benchmarking advanced cyber capabilities. It also directs them to design a voluntary framework. Developers could ask whether a model qualifies as a covered frontier model, provide government access for up to 30 days before release, and coordinate early access for trusted partners. The order is explicit that this section does not create mandatory licensing, pre-clearance, or a permit requirement for new models. The current federal process is voluntary. Here is my interpretation, clearly labeled as inference. A voluntary system could become the foundation for stronger requirements if a future evaluation reveals a serious public risk. There is also a notable area of agreement. Google DeepMind's proposal, Anthropic's position, and the executive order all distinguish ordinary models from a narrow frontier category using capability thresholds. That apparent agreement does not settle the difficult questions. Who defines the threshold? Who gets access to a company's confidential model? What evidence is made public? What happens when a model fails? Can a small laboratory afford the process? Could testing become a barrier that protects the largest companies? For ordinary people, this debate can affect both choices and safeguards. A more open ecosystem may bring cheaper tools, local processing, stronger competition, and models adapted for communities or small businesses. Tighter control may provide more consistent safety measures and clearer accountability, but it can also leave a small group of companies deciding what people may do and what they must pay. It can also shape work and public services. The rules may determine whether a school, clinic, local government, or independent developer can adapt a model for a narrow need or must buy access from a large vendor. They may also determine whether people receive meaningful notice when a powerful system has passed government testing and what that claim actually guarantees. Neither open nor closed automatically means safe. Open models can be inspected and controlled locally, but dangerous releases may be irreversible. Closed services can monitor use, update safeguards, and withdraw access, but they concentrate authority and can lock customers into one provider. The practical advice is to watch the federal framework, not only the speeches. Does it remain voluntary? Which risks are tested? Are open and closed models treated equally at the same capability level? Who pays for review? Is there independent oversight and an appeal process? What specific finding would lead to a delayed or restricted release? The bottom line is that three legitimate fears are colliding. Power could become concentrated in too few hands. Dangerous capability could be released permanently. Progress could also move too quickly for any company or country to slow safely on its own. Today's policy is a voluntary review process. The larger questions remain open. Who gets the keys? Who writes the test? And who can apply the brake? I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.